All right, thank you everybody for coming. Nice to see our dear friend Yonatan back. And of course, sponsors are open for the shir tonight. It's a very, very unique shir. It's a shir that will only happen once in this year. Parshas Yitro will never happen again this year. So it's a great honor. Whoever wants to sponsor, whoever wants to dedicate it, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We'll start with the story. Just to start with the story, so the story before the story is Rabbi Reich is one of the great rabbis around. He said that many times after he gives a speech, people come to him and ask him, why was that Gemara you brought, or why was that Medrash you brought in your speech, why was it relevant for the drasha? It's not exactly the same thing to the point you were saying. But no one ever came to him and told him, why did you bring that story in? It's not exactly relevant to what you were saying. Stories everyone are okay with. So I'll start with the story. There was a guy that was taking the train from his village to the big city. He had a meeting, a very, very important meeting actually. And the trains back then were kind of like, the F train. They were going slow, taking their time, right? So he's looking at his watch, probably had a pocket watch because he was a guy that's going to a meeting back in the day. And so he's going to be late. So he's looking at the watch, he doesn't know what to do. Eventually he decides, he'll stand up. He gets up and he goes to the side of the cart, the direction that's going, and he's pushing the cart. Everyone are asking, well, what's wrong with you? He's like, no, I have a meeting and the train is going slow, so I'm helping the train. I have to get there a little faster. That's the story. We'll see later on if it's relevant or not. I'm open for people afterwards saying it's not exactly what the point we're trying to say. However, this week's parsha is something very, very unique about this week's parsha. This week's parsha has in it Aseres Hadibros, which in free translation is the 10 commands, but we spoke about it I think a year or two ago in the shir. It's not so accurate because we have 613 commands. So what is the 10 commands? So really it's Aseres Hadibros, it's 10 diburim of Hashem, that's how we call it. Eis Aseres Hadvarim ha'ela, as the Chumash calls it. Maybe every dibur of Hashem is a command, but we refer to it as a dibur, and that's how the Chumash refers to it. But there's a list of many, of 10 diburim in this week's parsha. So, even in a simple way, we could see that all of them are kind of very dramatic. We have things that, Anochi Hashem, it's believing in Hashem, Emunah. And then we have Lo Yelecha, it's Avodah Zarah, can't get, that's very important things, etc. We go on the list. The list is seems pretty good. It's a good, solid 10 very important things. Killing is not good, and stealing is not good, and honoring your parents is very important. It's the chain of generations, etc. Then the last one is Lo Sachmod Eishes Re'echa. So what's Lo Sachmod Eishes Re'echa? Avdoi va'amoso, his slave and his servant. Sharoi v'chamoro, we're going through his assets now. V'chol asher le'erecha, anything he has. So what does the word Lo Sachmod mean? Just before we even get into anything, what does Lo Sachmod mean? So I looked up an art scroll just to see how to translate it as accurate as it gets without Rashi explaining it. So it's covet. Is that how you pronounce it?
Covet.
Covet, like covered, but with a T at the end. Yeah.
Covet.
What? Yeah, covet.
This is desire.
Covet. So Lo Sachmod, you shall not have covet for this list of things.
Covet.
And what?
Not covet.
Not covet. It's not you should not covet.
It's not you should not have covet.
You should not covet. Oh, the covet is the thing you think. Yeah. So you should do not covet this list of things. And the question that arises is, I think in a very, very simple way, is why is this part of the Aseres Hadibros? Why is this on the list of Anochi Hashem, of Lo Yelecha, of Shabbos, of Lo Sirtzach, Lo Signov. We have a list of things that we feel are such a significant, a whole list of significant things. So what happened that Lo Sachmod, which seems to us like, you shouldn't covet what your friend has, his belongings, his whatever he owns. Why is it so? Why is it part of the Aseret Dibros? That's question number one. Something interesting, which something very interesting is there's many differences. It's not the shir of this week, but there is many differences between the Aseret Dibros, the way it's written in Parshas Yitro, in Chumash Shmos, and the way it's written in Parshas Vayeschanan, which is in Chumash Dvarim. And we spoke about it one of the weeks, that Zachar and Shamar b'dibur echad, what Zachar v'Shamar b'dibur echad? We spoke about it a couple of months ago. Zachar v'Shamar b'dibur echad is, where does it say Zachar? And where does it say Shamar? There's no place that says Zachar v'Shamar es Yom HaShabbos l'kacho. But in one place it says Zachar es Yom HaShabbos l'kacho. In one place it says Shamar es Yom HaShabbos. So, in what? No, it says Shamar es Yom, right? But it says Shamar es Yom HaShabbos by. So here in Parshas Yisro, it says Zachar es Yom HaShabbos l'kacho. That's how the command on Shabbos starts. And in Parshas Vayeschanan, when it talks about Shabbos over there in the Aseret Dibros, which are written there. So here it says Shamar es Yom HaShabbos l'kacho. So again, in Parshas Vayeschanan, here in Dvarim it says Shamar es Yom HaShabbos l'kacho, and in our week Parsha, in Parshas Yisro, it says Zachar es Yom HaShabbos l'kacho. So there's many differences between the two places it's written, and there's many different halachos which are learned from it. So we spoke about them, what it means that on Shabbos, that here Zachar, here Shamar, that's b'dibur echad. But this week we're talking about the Lo Sachmod. You shall not covet with a T. And so in Parshas, in Aseret Dibros of our week Parsha, it says Lo Sachmod, and it gets the whole list, right? You shouldn't have a chemda for this, for your house, for the house of your friend, and for his animals, for his assets, etc. And then in Parshas Vayeschanan, also the last dibur of the Aseret Dibros, the 10th one, it says Lo Sachmod eishes re'echa v'lo sis'ave beis re'echa sadehu avdo v'amoso shor v'chamor v'chol asher le'echa. So in this parsha it adds in another thing, which is Lo sis'ave. You should not have even a taiva. So there's a difference between the two. And we'll see in a minute what exactly the difference is. But again, our week Parsha, it says Lo Sachmod on the whole list. And over there in Parshas Vayeschanan it says Lo Sis'ave. You should not have a taiva for this list of things. So the Rambam brings this down lahalacha. This dibur, obviously it's one of the Aseret Dibros, it's lahalacha. And the Rambam says the following. Just to understand what exactly is the Isur, what is the, how do you say Isur? Prohibition of Lo Sachmod, and what is the prohibition of Lo Sis'ave? Just to bring it out, because I think these things are very halacha l'maaseh by many situations in life. And we'll speak it out in a minute. So in the end in Hilchos, it's very interesting. The Rambam writes this in Hilchos Gzela. In Hilchos Gzela, he writes the halachos of Lo Sachmod. So in the end of Hilchos Gzela, the end of the first parak of Hilchos Gzela, he says, Kol hamis'ave, whoever has a desire, just a desire. starts off. Kol hachomed, avdo amasai, oy beisai, v'kelov shachavero. Whoever covets his friend's slave, house, his cars, his assets, whatever it is, oy kol davar she'efshel sheikneu mimenu, that you could actually buy from him, anything that you could buy from him. V'hichbid alav bereim. He sent friends to talk to him. This guy, he wants, you have a nice Tesla, a Tesla stock, and your friend wants it. So, maybe give it to him for a discount. And he's sending people to convince him because this guy wants it. Or even he's convincing him. He's come on, you have this thing and I need it and you're never using it and what do you care? Doing that, he actually completed his desire and he got from his friend the thing he wanted. He gave him money for it. Even if he overpaid for the stock, or for whatever it is, for whatever he wanted from him, he overpaid more than what it's worth. Harei zeh over below saseh. Shene'emar lo sachmod. This is a lo saseh of lo sachmod. Lo sachmod means you covet it, but that's still not. The lav is if you actually purchased it from him, if you actually got it from him. If you didn't get it from him, it's not lo sachmod. Lo sachmod is only if you want something that he has, you go over to him, you convince him to please give it to you, you beg him,
Coerce him.
You what?
Coerced him.
Coerced him.
Twisted his arm.
Coerced him with a T.
You have to
At the end of coerced.
CED.
There it's a D. With a D,
Is that a requirement to actively coerce?
To get it, you mean?
Yeah, let's say you just go over there and say, listen, I want to buy your Tesla. Is that...
Well, there's always action of business, there's a price for everything, and obviously it's...
Meaning the other guy, you're buying something from him that he doesn't really want to sell.
Yeah, he really wants it, and you're like making him, you're being a salesman. You're making him give it to you, like the other way around of a salesman, but kind of like a salesman of taking it from him, even though he's not really interested. Or you make him feel guilty by not giving. You send friends over to him, or you... No, doesn't say, just enough that you're doing that action and getting it from him. So it's a two-step thing. It's you behaving this way and completing your wanting and getting it. Then it's the loy saseh. Shene'emar loy sachmod. And now, the Rambam says something fascinating. There's no malchus on the Slav. Why isn't there malchus on the Slav? Very good. So he says, Mipnei ma ein loikim alav zeh, mipnei she'ein bo maaseh. Because there's no maaseh involved in the Slav. Now, just before we start, don't want to get, what's your name?
Israel.
Don't want to get Israel too excited. The Ravid asks, I have to find that Ravid. Lo ra'isi davar teima gadol mizeh. To call it a lav she'ein bo maaseh. It's the most mind-boggling thing. I never saw something more mind-boggling. Heichen maaseh gadol minatilas chefetz, minatilas chefetz. You're saying that the lav. 1 minute, Ezra. 1 minute. I understand you'll now protect your position, but the Ravid asks, how in the world can you say that there's a maaseh when you described right here that the lav is by taking it? Not only that, the Rambam right away, the next line, he says, Ve'eino over belav zeh, you do not over belav zeh violate this lav till when you don't actually take it, you don't over on the lav. So what
Good luck avoiding taking it after you've made such overtures to get it.
What?
Good luck with that.
The what?
No, I'm saying it's a stumbling block. It's a muckish. If you're going to approach something with such fervor, such desire, and you're going to go out of your way to acquire it, the likelihood of you stopping there is very low, unless you just stop a person that acquires things for the sake of putting them in a curious.
I actually understand Ravid very well.
I think I just explained it. Yeah, you agree.
The Ravid or the Rambam? Oh, just one second. So again.
So you've been doing it wrong until you actually got it?
Yeah.
It's a setup, that's what I'm saying.
Well, according to
The reason Rambam takes the position of Lav Shein B'Maisa
right.
is fine. In other words, so you would say it would appear that you go scot-free. But obviously, the second time it's mentioned to explain it, it's like the real Avera starts when you start.
Already before.
Exactly.
Already before. That's.
Of the covenant. That's what.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it in a minute. It could be, but the Ravid.
It's not over until you.
Yeah, Azriel likes it. I like it too, but that's okay. Whatever. But Azriel likes it. Usually, he's more critical than me. So.
You have a half-shir mitzvah, and you have the mitzvah. Here's the half-shir avera, the right? It says, what's the half-shir avera? What's the pre-avera? One is pressuring the person. And then it comes into fruition, comes into parula when you actually take it. Even though you didn't actually take it, you didn't steal it from him. It says it's driven by desire, so it takes on the properties of the first thing.
Very good. And now the Ravid himself says something fascinating. Aval Hoyel Olomar. The Rambam should have said a different reason why there's no Malchus on the Slav. The Slav should have said a different reason. The reason the Rambam wrote that no Maisa, that doesn't make sense, because there's a Maisa of Lekichas HaChayfetz. He's taking the actual thing. However, Hayal Olomar mipnei shu chayav betashlumin shehareu kegazlan. This person that takes it through covet. He's like a gazlan, and he's chayav lahashi v'sagzela. And by gzela, there's a halacha that there's no malchus by gzela, because it's like a lav shenitak la'aseh. There's after the gzela, you have aseh, you have to return it. Same thing when you covet something, you send your friends, you bug him, you actually complete the the checkbox, and the result is you got the actual thing. After that, it's required to return it, just like Gzela. This is an act of Gzela.
If you destroy it, then you have to get out.
I don't really. Well, no, that's by Gzela. That's a good question by Gzela. One week when you talk about Chosel Sigzol, but that's by Gzela. Even if you pay for it, you have to return it. V'gam zeh chayav lahoshi v'sachefetz lebe'alav. Just like by Gzela, you have to return it. There's an action required, and therefore you don't get malchus. The same thing here by Lo Sachmod. Even though you paid for it, you did a kinyan, it's yours, you have to return it. That's what the Rambam says. That's the reason that you don't pay for the Gzela. For the low pay. Don't get malchus on the Lo Sachmod. Sorry.
But it also includes the wife.
The what?
His wife.
Right. The Rambam didn't bring that. The Rambam in this whole list did not bring wife.
Right.
That's the Mefarshim speak about it. Good question. The Mefarshim speak about it.
That would be like, that's a Maisa, that you have niece for that.
No, even just Lo Sachmo. You convince him to divorce her, and then you marry her. There were stories like that, and there's many stories out through the generations. If you look.
How do you return that? If you're Geslin that, how do you return that?
What? How do you return what? The wife?
Yeah.
Oh, so here which you can, but here you can't. The minute she marries someone else, you can't. The Rambam, it's a great question for the Shabbos table wherever you eat. The Rambam in this whole list, he does not bring in this Lo Sachmod list. He does not bring the wife. Now the Chumash describes the wife. She says the wife.
Actually,
What?
He doesn't bring it elsewhere?
Oh, very good. So now in the next halacha, that was halacha Yud. Halacha Tes. The next halacha, Kol HaMis'ave. It's a different halacha. Before we spoke about Chamda, about covet. Now we're talking about desire. Kol HaMis'ave Beisoyoy Ishtoi. His home or his wife. V'kelov shel chaveiro, one of his resources. Any of his resources. V'kol kayotze bohen. Mish'ar dvorim. She'efshar lo. Kevan shechoshav belibo. Since he thought in his heart, how would I get that thing? V'nifta libo badavar. And his heart wanted it. Like he was thinking about how am I going to get it. Over below sase, shene'emar lo sisave. That what?
That's Chava.
Yeah, very good. Lo sisave. Ve'ein taiva, desire, ela belev bilvad. A desire is different than a chemda. A desire is different than a covet.
That says a molis levak.
Covet, in this week's parsha, is you going ahead and convincing him, and you getting it, purchasing it from him, or not purchasing it, but achieving the thing. That's lo sachmod. But there's even a step before that. In a way, it's before that, and it's another question, why did the Rambam bring that halacha first and the next halacha, but that you want it, you desire it, that's lo sove. Lo sove, which is the Aseret Hadibros of Vayischanan, the way it's described over there in Vayischanan, it's lo save. It's over there, it says both. But the Rambam writes it as two separate averos, two separate lavim. How do you say lavim? I forgot. Prohibitions. Two separate prohibitions. One is going, convincing him to take it, and one is thinking, how would I get his thing? Not actively.
His thing.
Yeah, his thing.
Has to be his.
I'm sorry, what's the
one where you actually get
the first one is to get it. You go to your friend. It's not getting it. Is you walk down. What's the fancy street?
When I buy my own car, is that a problem?
No problem. That's very, very good point. Lo sachmod, there's no problem of lo sachmod of let's say I go down the street and there's a fancy house and I think, nice house. I want a house like this too. You call up your friend that's a contractor. You tell him, copy paste this house. It should come out cheaper on the planning because I'm giving you something to follow, right? That's what? That's the way the Rambam describes it. There's no problem. The problem is with lo sachmod and with lo sisave, the desire and the covet is to take. I want his thing to become mine.
Not in general, his.
What?
Not in general, his.
Yes, his thing to become mine. His thing to become mine. So you're thinking about it the way the Rambam writes it.
It's also because of the jealousy.
One second.
The problem with the guy that you don't feel like he should have it?
No. So that's a different thing. Jealousy, I think, so Mr. Katz, yeah? Cohen, that's
close enough.
Katz is, Katz and Cohen are related, right? Both from Aaron and Cohen. But Mr. Cohen is saying that isn't that jealousy? So that the answer is, I think, jealousy is he has it and I don't have it. I wish he wouldn't have it.
But that's why you want his.
No, when you want his, it's not always like I want him not to have it. It's I want to have it. Jealousy is a different emotion. Jealousy is he has this fancy car. Kind of I'm going to go and buy the same fancy car. That's jealousy. Even you going, maybe that comes from jealousy is because he has it, you want it. That's maybe jealousy. I'm jealous of him. How come he has such a thing and I don't? Covet and desire is I want his thing to be mine. And there's a story in the Navi. There's a famous story in the Navi about it, as well as with Achav that he wanted a sada of somebody and he went ahead and killed the person's wife, etc. Terrible things. People have this emotion within them that they want someone else's thing, and they go ahead and take action. They take action for it in order to achieve it. Okay, so just to have a clarity a little bit of what is this 10th dibur that we have in this week's parsha. Now, back to the first question we started this year with, is why is this in the Aseret Hadibros? It seems to be like not as I don't want to say important, I can't say such a thing, but the other things, Avodah Zarah, Emunah in Hashem, Shabbos, these things, killing, these things are like, it's like, these things are like everyone understands it. It's as leftist as you are, as rightist as you are, these things are terrible. If you believe in Hashem, you have to believe in Hashem, So what is that was how we started. The Ibn Ezra and many other Rishonim come with a different question on this thing. And they ask a fascinating question. They say, Rabim yitmehu. Many will ask, and actually many ask it. The chinuch asks it, and more ask it. I gotta find it now. Okay. Anashim Rabim, many people yitmehu al hamitzvah azos. On this mitzvah of lo sachmut. What is the question everyone have? How could a person not be misave, not want something beautiful that his fellow friend has? He has a nice wallet. He has a nice car. He has a nice home. Whatever he has, anything he has. When you see your neighbor right next to you, you're still struggling with your kitchen from the 30s, and this guy has a brand new granite countertop, nice wooden cabinets. That's just the kitchen side. If you're not in the kitchens, I'm sure you're in the cars, right? It's or that or that. You can't have both. So he has a beautiful, nice Mercedes or Tesla or nice, whatever it is, whatever car, and it looks so nice, and it's even stick shift, like whatever. Like it's really, right? I want it. I wish I could drive that one, or I wish I could. There's that emotion. So how could the Torah give a tzivui not to have this emotion? This is a natural desire that people have. This is what the Ibn Ezra asks on this pasuk, on this dibur. And he answers the following. Ata eten l'cha mashal. I'll give you a mashal, a story. A person from the village, simple person from the village, saw the daughter of the king, and she was beautiful. She was beautiful. She was a beautiful woman, but she was out of reach. She was the daughter of the king. And he knows, he's a simple guy from the village, and this is before that the world became modern, that everyone could, there's no, royalty, an actress can marry a royal family, right? There's no, this is in the olden times, the royal family were the real, so you knew, you had nothing, you'll never get to her. So he says, what that would happen is, he will not covet her. Because she's so out of reach for him, he will not covet her. So I was thinking that in our days, people will say, no, well, what do you mean? You could covet her, you could. So the truth is, you could think of other things. Sometimes if you think that, this size house, I maybe want, because you have a dream that maybe one day you'll have enough money to buy this little cubicle in Brooklyn. But when you pass next to, on East 7th and Ocean Parkway, these, nice mansions, you pass next to it and you're like, ooh, nice. Oh, and last year they did construction. It seems like they're about to start again construction, right? And it seems like whatever, they don't have what to do with their money, and they have this huge mansion, and you're unsure what exactly is going on, but you look at it more as whoa. But you don't have covet there. You're not going and thinking how can I get this? It's not even in your head. It's not even in your mindset. So this is the mashal that Ibn Ezra brings. And he says, Kacha kol maskil. Every person that is a little bit with, that not seichel smart, but a person that's thought out. Any person that's a little bit thought out. Tzarich sheyeda. That any mammon, any money, lo yimtzeenu adam ba'avur chochmaso v'daito. Don't think that you, with your brain, your mind, you would get further with money, and therefore, you want his thing and you're convincing him. Rak kasher chelik LaHashem. Whatever Hashem gave you, that's what you're getting. You're not getting something that Hashem gave to someone else. Ve'amar Koheles. Kohel, he brings a line from Koheles. Ve'la'adam shelo amar bo itnenu chelko. A person that didn't even work hard, all of a sudden, he gets this chunk of money from out of nowhere. He gets that job that you wouldn't even you were trying to apply. You sent in your resume 100 times, and then you hear who got it. You know the guy. You're 30 times better than him, and not because you overvalue how much you are worth and undervalue him. It's really like that. And there's this I think every day people see this. The people in the same company that are high up, you could be more qualified than them, and you're earning half the amount of them.
Not only that, you have to work for them and teach them how to do it.
That's also right.
That's the work. Yeah. That's really Rabbi.
Ve'amru chachamim, bani chayu mezoni, sons, life and food. Lav b'schus atali milsa ola b'mazla, whatever Hashem decides. U'ba'aver zeh hamaskil, a person that's thought out. That's seichel, that in a way that he's thought out on the next step. Lo yis'ave ve'lo yachmod. You'll never desire what a different persons have. has. You'll never want what a person has. You'll never try to get it. Ve'amar sheyeda she'eshes re'eyu, a random person's wife or his friend's wife, asur Hashem lo, Hashem answered it to him. Yoser hinisgava me'einav mibas melech be'einei hakafri. That Hashem said that you cannot want other people's stuff, other people's belongings. It should take it out of your mindset because it's something that's out of your reach. It's not for you. And if you'll have this mindset, you won't have the question that he started with, how could you not want? The answer of how you cannot want is by you understanding and thinking and living that what Hashem gave to you is exactly what you're supposed to get. And what Hashem gave to someone else and not to you is exactly what you are not supposed to get. If you'll understand that, you won't have a lo sachmut. So back to the question we asked. Why is lo sachmut part of Aseret Hadibros? So I heard B'Shem Rav Wolbe once that this Ibn Ezra is coming to answer that question. This Ibn Ezra is telling you lo sachmut is not just don't want what your friend has. It's a lesson of emunah, a lesson of living, of emunah and bitachon. That what Hashem is doing, He's taking care of me, and what He's giving me is what He's giving me. And that's the message that this lo sachmud, which is the last dibra after the whole list, you end off with this, with this dibur. It's the lesson of emunah, of living day every day. No matter what you see around you, no matter what positions you see other people at, and what they have, and where they are holding in life, and it seems to you like everything for everybody else is so much better than for you, and you want it. Understanding that no, that's not true. I don't care about what other people have, because what I have is exactly what I'm supposed to have. That thing, if you live that, you could understand why lo sachmod is such a great message, dafka for Aseret Hadibros, or with Aseret Hadibros, as a lesson of emunah. You start off with a story, with the train. This story I didn't make up. The Chafetz Chaim made up this story. The Chafetz Chaim once, he came to, I don't remember, probably, where were the trains back then? In Warsaw, right? All the stories. He took a train, he got to Warsaw. So I came to Warsaw for a visit. And there was a rich guy, wealthy guy in Warsaw, that wanted the Chafetz Chaim. He wanted to host the Chafetz Chaim. So he came early. It was like, like a Black Friday sale. So he came early in the night or the day before. He stood already by the train. He was waiting for the door openings of the train, which didn't arrive yet, but he was waiting for the train that will come and open up the doors. He'll be the first one to greet the Chafetz Chaim, and he'll ask him to come stay by him. I guess back in the day, they didn't really arrange things like this beforehand. The Chafetz Chaim came, and obviously someone's going to invite him, the community, the rabbi, whatever, but he was going to be the first, and he's going to tell the Chafetz Chaim to come over to him, and he was hoping the Chafetz Chaim would come over to him. So, as planned, it worked out. He comes to the train station, he waits there, came early, he waits. The Chafetz Chaim, the train comes, the doors open, the Chafetz Chaim comes out, and he's the first one to greet the Chafetz Chaim, and he tells him, do you have a place to stay? I'm offering my home. So Chaim's kind of, oh, thank you, I don't have a place to stay, I'll come stay by you. So, Chafetz Chaim and him, they get into his, his buggy. What is it called? A buggy?
Coach.
Oh, what?
Coach.
The guy's Tesla, back in the day. It was a 6-horse drive, what? Whatever, a 1-horse drive. So Chafetz Chaim asked him, Rebid, they were schmoozing. Rebid, how many hours a day do you learn? So the rich guy got a little silent. He's like, I'm very busy in my business. Takes up my whole day. I don't have, I can't take a few hours a day or a time a day and commit it to Torah. This is what I told the Chafetz Chaim. So Chafetz Chaim answered him with this mashal. He told him that there was a train that was going slow, and it could be that the Chafetz Chaim thought of this mashal because probably the train that he was on, it's going pretty slow, and he was thinking, how can I get this train to go? So the Chafetz Chaim is on the F train, and it's going slow. Not the Chafetz Chaim. This guy is on the F train. It's going slow. And this guy is pushing it. And people ask him, why are you pushing the train? He said, I'm trying to make it go faster. And everyone tell him, no. The engine is pulling the train. You are pushing the wall. The Chafetz Chaim told the guy, Hashem has a plan. You pushing the cart won't make the plan. The Hashem is the engine. You are rich. It's not the extra hour a day that's going to make you rich or not rich. You are rich. You helping Hashem by pushing the cart, it's exactly like that guy that's pushing the cart. I think it's a story that's matim for this week. Lo Sachmod is teaching us a lesson. Lo Sachmod is teaching us a lesson. I don't mean to get in Musar. I'm talking because of the halacha. It's halacha l'maisa. Lo Sachmod is teaching us a lesson. We have to live this understanding. Hashem gave us what we need and what we have. That's what Hashem wants. Even if we think we need other things and we always need what the other people around us have, we have a lot of thoughts of how things should be. Hashem, He's the engine. Whatever He gave us, that's what's meant to be for us. Lo Sachmod is constantly telling us, live that understanding, that emunah and that bitachon, that Hashem is taking care of us. So, as we always wrap it up, what do we take halacha l'maisa from this week? So I think we could take halacha l'maisa. What?
What are we talking about, Hashem?
So that's one thing. I think we could take from this week Lo Sachmod and Lo Sisave. To live Hashem, live with Hashem, live more with Hashem. Put 5 minutes between the aliyah when they finish the aliyah of Aseret Hadibros, because till then no one will think about this drasha for sure, about the shir. So the minute we finish the shir, bzzt. But when they learn Aseret Hadibros and they learn Lo Sachmod, so then maybe we'll remember of this shir. And when the guy finishes the Balkor finishes the aliyah, we should put a minute aside, not more than a minute, because more than a minute in our generation could be very stressful. More than a minute, no, but 1 minute to live, to understand. Hashem is taking care of us, and I don't need anything else. Good Shabbos. Marv, do we have a